if you defy that, the word that he made up in a pamphlet that he handed to you while you were probably busy doing other shit, you're also dealing with 4 other Hollow Earth pamphlets at the time because it was 1880s. He thought that you just denied the power of God himself.
Yes, he thought that to not believe in the concavity of Earth, that would be the inside spoon theory of Earth, and not believe, because he believed that that ball in the center of the Earth, that was where the heavens lay. That's where heaven was. And to not believe in that was to deny that God existed, because if you denied where God existed, then you denied that God existed himself.
And not a lot of people could read or write during the 1800s, so technically this guy was smart.
Technically, yeah. He printed a whole pamphlet.
Yeah.
Most of these people were still being like, what are pants? I'm new to pants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they were wearing their hats on their feet. 1880s were crazy.
They were crazy, yeah.
I'm just glad that we all live inside the Earth, and that gay people are actually snakes with human skin on them, and that our planet is totally fine, and we're headed into it's more of a vacation zone. It's not global warming. It's becoming Hawaii everywhere.
Yeah. Let's give the people of the 1800s a little bit of credit. While many people dismissed Cyrus Teed's ideas out of hand, it took a couple of decades for somebody to really take his ideas seriously. There was one man in particular who took them to heart, one Mr. Adolf Hitler.
Wait a second. You mean Adolf, the reasonable one, Hitler, believed that the Earth was hollow? That's crazy.
Well, he threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck,
Yeah. What I like about him is that he really just, he mixed it up. Mm-hmm. He was, again, like Michael Jordan. Where it's like, yes, when he couldn't jump from the free throw line anymore, he made the fadeaway. Mm-hmm. He started working on fadeaway because he knew he had to be a champion.
Yeah.
That was what Hitler did.
That's when he would make
all the Jews.
He did make a lot of fadeaways. you're an expert at
Prince of Bel-Air fadeaways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Hitler, what he did about Cyrus Teed's theory, he supposedly had his scientists calculate exactly on the Earth where one could look straight up with a telescope and see what the British Navy was up to on the opposite side of the Earth.
Can you imagine being the person who had the science, having to listen to Hitler explain to you what he's doing? It's like, you will make a telescope that will look up into the mirror world of the sky and will see on the other side. It will see on the other side what the British people are doing, because I know we live inside a golf ball. And he's like, I just wish that Hitler, this is a great idea. We all agree. It's a great idea. Great. We all agree. Everyone. You love it, Sven, right? Thumbs up, Sven, right? If we could just maybe not do it. To the cans?
But that's the genius of Hitler. He was so crazy, he went with the hollow Earth, and then his next ideas of why don't we attack the Russians? We're like, we can attack the Russians. We can do that.
And that's the problem. That's why Hitler lost, because his super crazy ideas were overshadowed by his super crazy ideas.
Right.
So they just kind of gave him whatever he wanted as far as invading Russia in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be. If I'm ever a Hollywood star, I will be doing the same exact tactic. You come in with a really crazy idea. Mm-hmm. You're like, let's do a movie about toaster strudels. And they have to, you have a big, movie deal with Warner Brothers. And then they'd be like, okay, yeah, we can make a movie about toaster strudels. And then eventually be like, actually, I just want to make a story about a coming of age story about a boy with no feet.
And then 2 years later, boom, he's thanking his mother on the Oscars.
I love it. That's great. But who's the boy with no feet?
You know who it is, Ben?
Who?
It's you, buddy.
Oh my God!
You're the boy with no feet.
Oh.
And you know what? And I am the jumping coach that believed in you. Because it's set in the future, in the year 3075, where just jumping's a sport because everybody's so fat.
Right.
So besides Cyrus Teed and Mr. Sims, there were a few other Hollow Earth proponents throughout the years. There was the 1800s and 1900s, the 19th and 20th century. This is what we can call the golden age of the Hollow Earth. There were a lot of people out there handing out pamphlets.
There was a lot of dumb shit happening in the late 1800s.
A lot of phrenology, things such as that. They were still kind of believing in humors and medieval barbers and bleeding people out.
Right.
Yeah, and all of these ignorant ideas that were made in the 1880s were essentially the things that planted the seed for what eventually became the Nazi Party. Every one of these theories became like something that they could be like, and then magical white people live there. Every single every Hollow Earth theory involves magical white people living in the center of the earth, and then Hitler had the idea, and it's like, instead of going and finding some magical white people, what if we were the magical white people? So what if but Mr. Hitler, what if there was, I mean, I don't want to step any toes, but what if we go there and there are only magical white people there? So we take them to the camps. Anybody who's inside this earth is just a hollow earth Jew. You're some kind of cave Jew.
Well, that seems inappropriate, I think.
So the other guys, this guy, Willis George Emerson, he wrote in 1908 a quote-unquote novel.
Why are you quote-unquoting? Was it a novel?
No, well, it was released as a novel.
So it's a novel.
It was not
Novels
necessarily.
based upon true ideas. The whole idea is that what they're doing is like secret societies have been doing from the very beginning. What they try to do is say it's a it has to be a quote-unquote novel. Because the idea is that true secrets are bedded within the novel in order to get it past the fucking government, man.
Yeah.
Like that movie Pure Luck with Martin Short. They predicted the bees would begin to die.
Really?
If you remember when the bee stung Martin Short, his face swelled up.
I do remember that.
Public enemy number one, the bee. So then when they start to die in populations, die in thousands and millions at a time, we won't care because we'll remember what they did to Danny Glover's friend.
Tell me a second. Are you the only person on the Pure Luck Martin Short, like, community boards online, all the web boards, where you just complete these long 2-page things about how Pure Luck with Martin Short predicted the bee shortage?
I do have a pamphlet, and I'd like to hand it out to you as soon as I see you next, Henry.
All right, but after the show, we need to talk about merging your Pure Luck Yahoo group with my Clifford Yahoo group.
Great.
We'll double our numbers.
Okay, perfect.
I think that's really important. I have a whole Yahoo group about toaster strudels that I have been prepping. It's the beginning, I think, the seeds of a movie. It's a quote-unquote novel.
Perfect.
So in this quote-unquote novel called The Smoky God...
Yeah, man, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. That's all I'm fucking saying. You gotta know what he's fucking thinking, dude.
The Smoky God told the story of Olaf Janssen, who described this story to the author while Olaf was 95 years old as the Swede laid on his deathbed. For you see, Olaf waited until he was 95 to tell his story in full, because for years, every time he tried to tell the story of the Smoky God, they kept throwing him in the mental institution.
Oh, come on.
Every time I try to tell my most insidious story of the inside Hollow Earth, they try to take my lederhosen.
Oh, leave the man's lederhosen.
Because that's what they do if they put you in jail in Sweden.
Yeah.
Is they just take your lederhosen. You don't go to a room.
No.
You're just nude from the waist down. You're wearing your weird tunic thing that they're only allowed to wear in Sweden. That's the only clothes they're allowed to wear. And they take their very stiff shorts from them.
I wore lederhosen as a child, and I wore it to school when I was 8 years old one day.
And how did that work out?
Not good. Turns out not the cultural attire of the United States.
Yeah, because I could just see 6'5", 9-year-old.
Yeah, it was about right, yeah.
With soiled lederhosen.
Well, they were clean until about the afternoon.
I was from Germany.
So Janssen's story reported that he and his father sailed far north on a fishing expedition from Sweden until they suddenly came upon a tropical climate where they were approached by a large ship filled with giants singing and playing harps. And the giants took Olaf and his father over the curve of the Earth's outer shell, that's the outside of the spoon, and into the hollow interior, where they saw, among other things, great herds of elephants, 100 feet long, 85 feet high. Olaf described the herd of elephants thusly.
There must have been 500 of these thunder-throated monsters in their relentlessly waving trunks.
Thunder-throated monsters, restlessly waving trunks.
Yeah, between
I don't know why I just see just fucking the hugest naked Swedish women. Just big tube titties. Just like slapping back and forth, like running around the best. Like, I find it rude that he called us a herd of elephants.
So for this next little tidbit, we want to thank our new official last podcast science officer, Megan Fierro Root.
Okay.
And we were also going to give out her email. And so from now on, what we'd want to do is that if you have a single fucking problem with any of the science on last podcast on the left, please address our new science officer, Megan Fierro Root.
Is this technically a science episode?
There's science in it.
I thought it was a pamphlet.
Every episode is a science episode.
I see.
Everything is science, Ben.
Oh, okay.
Everything.
Got it.
And concerning the science behind the size of these creatures, remember, 100 feet long, 85 feet high, the science behind that is that Earth's gravity exists primarily on the surface of the planet. You dig? You get me?
I dig.
And there is substantially lower gravity in the subterranean levels of the planet. Once you get inside the planet,
right,
the deeper you get, the lesser the gravity is, especially if you're on the inside spoon part of the planet. They're pulling out, they're pushing it. One part's pulling out, one part is pushing in. It's about half the gravity of the surface.
So is it like a Salvador Dali type situation? Everyone's stretched out and kind of strange looking?
They get bigger.
Yeah, they get bigger because they're allowed to grow bigger. You'd be 7'2" down there.
Hey, all right.
I'd be 6'7". Henry would be the same size.
5'8".
I'd be the same size because I would be king, and I would be living in a plastic gravity-less ball where everyone was like, "You are all my subjects. I am the king of the inner Earth land, and I call it New Zabrowskiland."
So you get it, right?
It makes all the sense in the world.
Completely true.
Technically, this is logical,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if you have no gravity, then you would things would expand.
You get taller. Many science fiction novels have told me this. They talk about it at length in Hyperion and the Fall of Hyperion.
Sure.
Very good stuff. Yeah, Lucis. You know, because people in gravity, but there's more gravity, so they're more compact. So, and they're stronger than that. And also, it's 7 travelers going to visit the Shrike, and the Shrike destroys all but one of the pilgrims, and then he gives that program all the wishes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just there's a big interconnected sort of computer thing. It's a big story. It's a good book.
Yeah.
Usually science conversations don't involve pilgrims receiving wishes. Usually there's like numbers, and then someone's like, "We don't know, but we're trying to figure it out."
There are numbers. 7 go, 1 gets a wish.
Oh.
Those are numbers, Ben.
Those are numbers. Can't argue with that.
So while we will cover more of the modern science of the Hollow Earth, because it doesn't end in 1908. You know, it doesn't end there.
No.
There are still people to this day that do believe, very vigorously believe, that the Earth is hollow, including one Mr. Dallas Thompson. We'll cover Mr. Dallas Thompson in a future bonus episode. So those bonus episodes are going to start coming out here in a month or so once we start getting the subscription service going. So watch out for that. What we do have today is the testimony of a Hollow Earth YouTube scientist. Right now in the year 2015. He released this in April, Ben.
Okay, this is the modern day pamphlet, the YouTube short.
I'm going to say that this video is a documentary I watched called Hollow Earth, The Biggest Cover-Up.
The Hollow Earth, The Biggest Cover-Up Special Edition.
Special Edition, I'm sorry, because it's true, because the first one is only 45 minutes, and this one's an hour, 7 minutes. I would say, how would you say, Marcus, impenetrable nonsense? Guess per usual?
I would say probably indecipherable gobbledygook might be more accurate.
Yes, again, the man who made this video, play it
All right, let's hear it.
Here we have a rotating sphere of water about 25 millimeters in diameter, and inside this sphere are a whole bunch of little tiny air bubbles. And we will see what the angular acceleration due to rotation does to these air bubbles as a function of time. What you are observing are the bubbles moving to the center axis of rotation. As a function of time, they will form this rather tightly packed bubble core.
An hour and 7 minutes.
These bubbles are kept from coalescing from a small amount of added surfactant to the water.
Surfactant.
What?
Here we have a rotating sphere filled with bubbles and tea leaves, and as expected, the bubbles go to the center and the tea leaves go to the outside edge, along with a few chunks of orange peel.
Logic. Very scientific. He's using the scientific method right now.
You can see the bubble in it. There's a bubble on the screen.
Here we have a rotating sphere with bubbles and chunks from breaking up a small vitamin tablet, and the bubbles go to the center core, but the vitamin chunks seem to stay in their location, dispersed through the sphere, and from this we deduced that the vitamin chunks have a density near that of water.
Yeah.
An hour and 7 minutes of this.
See, that's what you call variables. He's using the scientific method here. He uses orange peels. He uses crushed up vitamins. He has proved his point, Ben.
Well, I'm definitely getting convinced, and I'm really envious of this man, because truly, if you love looking at bubbles, you can never be bored.
You can never be bored.
He beat boredom.
He did it by making himself the most dull human that's ever lived.
Oh, yes, definitely had to do that. Yeah.
You just have to take your enjoyment of life down to about a 0.
Just right at
and
the...
like anything, then you just slap in 2 sugar packets together.
Oh, yeah.
Will make you happy for an hour and a half.
Yeah, he would love solitary confinement. He's the only one that could actually put on a show he would enjoy.
So tell me, did you what did you bring your own lunch to work like I did? I always bring my own lunch to work, and I've got a thermos in there, and it's got some water in it with some bubbles in it that have some vitamin tablets and orange peel in it. Looking forward to lunch. What did you bring today? It took me 23 minutes to walk from my house to the train, and then the train takes 42 minutes to get to the station next to the office, and it takes about 6 minutes for me to walk from the station. Where are you going? I just have known the earth is hollow. When I get down inside the earth, that's where I will have friends. I'll have friends that also like the bowls with the orange peel and the vitamin tablet in them.
Well, now I want to cry a little bit. It's too real. That was the most real thing Too Real has ever done.
Yeah, that was truly too real.
But you know, but the sadness that we project onto these people, in reality, folks who are that sort of, type, they really love their life. And actually, they're very mean people. They're the ones who say the meanest things on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, my God. We've got one guy on Twitter that is a true hollow moon enthusiast, true believer. He is, he listens to every single episode multiple times, but goddamn does he hate us.
Well,
He's technically our biggest fan.
I think
the thing about these guys that do believe that's what it is, they're not sad. They're mad. They're hoping the hollow earth exists because then they can go there. Then they don't have to go to the office anymore. They don't have to pretend to have a good time at the Bennigan's when they're hanging out with their office mates when everybody gets appletinis on Fridays at 5:30.
Oh, I love a good appletini.
I bet you do.
But a lot of the people who believe the earth is hollow, I've also seen a lot of them think the earth is flat. So how does that work?
Well, once we get to Dallas Thompson on the bonus episode, we will see that some believe that the entrance to the hollow earth that's up at the North Pole and at the South Pole, but also some in Argentina, it is not actually a physical hole, but rather a dimensional porthole.
There's a lot of people who talk about that, and also that the hollow Earth points at both the poles are about how the Earth is a living organism with its own Kundalini line, and that the holes on the poles, the holes and poles, are the two chakra points. It's the head chakra and the root chakra, which is the asshole chakra. Yeah. And the asshole chakra is where that's the bigger one in Antarctica, the big old gaping one. Yeah. That the aliens come in and out of. But it's not really aliens. It's sort of like an interdimensional fucking port or something like that. Again, I have never smoked the amount of weed that I needed to fully understand that theory.
The butthole's a root chakra?
Don't even think about it. You've never seen yoga videos. That's all I do. If I want to learn about that kind of stuff, I just watch hours of just women stretching in tight pants.
Well, you can't see the root.
You can.
Well, it's gonna look.
You watch the nude yoga videos. They're quite. Have you ever?
Nude yoga videos?
They're quite good.
No.
So, possibly the most famous of all Hollow Earth explorers was one Mr. Robert Byrd of the U.S. Navy, Robert Byrd Jr. You know, he is actually a reasonably credible individual, reasonably so. He won a Medal of Honor.
Which you think would mean you're reasonable.
It would mean, in World War I. Won a Medal of Honor.
Sure,
yeah. And he also aided Charles Lindbergh with his flight training, although it must be noted that Robert Byrd Jr. was a Freemason.
Okay.
False flag. That's what I have to say. I'm just going to say the term false flag. Robert Byrd this whole storyline is very interesting. I'm going to say this. All the conspiracy theories that were attached to Robert Byrd have nothing to do with Robert Byrd. It happened after the fact. They just said he had a secret diary, but he was 97 years old. He's like, I don't believe in inner thoughts. I believe in actions. They're like, no, you had a diary, Mr. Byrd. He's like, I'm Admiral Byrd. You're Mr. Byrd now because your fucking dick fell off, all right? So you just shut your fucking mouth and die of cancer, Robert Byrd.
So in 1920...
Don't ever work in a nursing home, Henry. And never just don't be around the elderly.
So in 1928, aided by Edsel Ford, Henry Ford's son, that's another little specious connection, and John D. Rockefeller Jr., that's another suspect connection.
Of course, it's all these inbred nepotism-filled pieces of garbage. Smart people have dumb children.
Aided by them, along with $400,000 in donations from the American public, Byrd was able to establish the first base on Antarctica, called Little America. And by the way, $400,000 in 1928 money, in 2015 money, that is $5,582,175.44. 44 cents.
44 cents is the kicker.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes the deal.
Yeah. That's the kicker right there. That's the straw.
He could get a full brownstone in Brooklyn for that, or create Little America in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Basically, Rockefeller sent them out over there because, as we know, he wanted them just to collect a bunch of fucking penguins so they could carve them up and make a bunch of fake pussies out of them, right?
Yeah, because John D. Rockefeller, eventually the Rockefeller that was convicted of murder not too long ago, early investor in the fleshlight, because he was actually fulfilling a previous dream of his grandfather that was started with Little America in Antarctica.
Okay, you got to see, all right, 1928, see? They're trying to say the rape is going to be illegal, see? So what we got to do, all right? Yeah, I know. Every time I look at it, even any sort of thing walking, whether it's a dog or a deer or a woman, I want to fuck it. So what we got to do is make something called a fake vagina. We got to make a fake vagina so I can use it at my convenience. You know what I'm saying? Snorting my breakfast pot out. I'm smoking a cigar at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So Admiral Byrd, after the establishment of Little America, would make 3 more expeditions to the Antarctic, including participation in the mysterious Operation High Jump in 1946. Now, Operation High Jump supposedly was to map the coastline of Antarctica and the interior, and to test military equipment in sub-zero temperatures. But if that was true, if that's all they were doing, then why did they take 4,700 men 13 ships, including an aircraft carrier, and 25 airplanes.
I'll tell you why, Marcus, because they were there to kill one Mr. Adolf Hitler, who was still alive,
yes,
living in a house made out of penguin skin.
Seems like a lot. He's just one fat old dude.
Well, we'll get more to that later about why they needed 4,700, because Hitler was not there alone.
Well, maybe they tethered them all together, and then they had a big party train. That's kind of fun to do with boats. If you ever go on the lake there, tie your boats together, and then you can walk from boat to boat. Kind of fun.
They just showed up to go destroy the last of the Nazi raid that's happening in Antarctica. And they're like, guys, we know that we did bad shit in the past, but now we're here. We're just hanging out. We're just enjoying ourselves, having ourselves a Coors Light, and we're just being chill. We're being cool. And they're like, you're right. And then it turned into a Bud Light commercial where it was just them playing beach balls inside of the inner Hawaii land that's inside of Antarctica.
Breaking in with a reminder here that today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Remember, no matter what kind of weird stuff you're into, there's someone else on the internet into it as well. So if you're looking to create a website all your own to attract like-minded individuals for any reason, just so long as it's legal, Squarespace is the way to go. It's only $8 a month, and if you want to try before you buy, you get a free trial with no credit card required. And when you do want to keep going, enter the code LAST for 10% off your purchase. That's Squarespace. Build it beautiful. So in the 1970s,